Our presenter for the multifamily is going to be Kevin's out of Georgia. Kevin was a CPA. He's got 30 years experience, started as a passive investor. He'll tell us a little bit about how he found lifestyles. He's got 3 properties that he owns and manages. This, we're going to see property number 2. It's got some great returns. So Kevin, if you're on, let's go ahead and get started.
Yeah, sounds great. Thank you for the invite. Yeah, so Kevin Saunders from Atlanta, Georgia, and happy to be here. Thank you to the Central Texas team, Robert, Chris, and everybody. I am a corporate guy, an accountant, a bean counter, 30 years experience in corporate America, Indiana University grad, been in Atlanta for 15 years, married, 2 daughters, 2 granddaughters. I joined Lifestyles in 2018, started passive, heard Curtis Haynes' legacy presentation and decided to go the lead route. Done 3 deals there, and you can see from the pictures, really blessed man with a fantastic family. You can see my wife there, my 2 girls, our granddaughter and son-in-law, and then there's the girls on vacation trying to have some fun. So I'm one of 5 children. My wife is one of 14, and so we just got deep family roots. I consider myself a very blessed man. Okay, yeah, that's just about me. A very, very blessed man with family and career and lifestyles. It's showing me the way to the future. So look, that's enough about me.
Hey, tell us a little bit. How did you hear about Lifestyles? I mean, what's your story? What made you want to join Lifestyles Unlimited?
I think I've heard this story tonight, so I'll just kind of repeat it. I was a 55-year-old corporate guy with lousy prospects. My best earning years were behind me. My 401k was too small, and I was fortunate enough to hear this crazy guy on the radio talking about real estate investing. That totally resonated with me. I was ready for a change, and then came into Lifestyles and saw the map to the financial freedom, the great education, mentorship, the community of people, and then we'll talk about this a little bit more, but the opportunity for a family legacy. So that just pulled me into Lifestyles.
Thank you, Kevin. Tell us a little bit about what you're going to be talking to us today.
Okay, yeah, this is Whispering Oaks. It's an 80-unit property, 1965 vintage. It's definitely a C-level property, but it's in a really good market, and it was in disrepair and being managed poorly, or at least not the way that Lifestyles teaches. So it was just a perfect combination for the Lifestyles, best product, best price model. And so so we really like the asset, we really like the location, and we got a lot of numbers here, Robert. Which ones do you think we should break out here?
Absolutely. So let's just talk about that $3.14 million. Did you have that in your back pocket, or were you able to get that?
No, I surely did. I reached out to the passive investment community with a PPM, and was able to attract 54 investors from all over the country, and at all different levels of commitment. So, for example, we had about 6 investors come in at $25,000. The majority, about 70%, came in at $50,000. We had a couple at $100,000, and then myself, I was the highest investor at $300,000.
Perfect. And so there's some right here. I'll take this, Kevin. So we're going to go through these in a little bit more detail. It looks like we've got a lot of guys that are members, a few that aren't, and so I don't want to bog down the room with a bunch of numbers right now, but we'll look at these on a little chart. You know, income's about 65, 27 on the expenses, and the NOI really is what we want to look at there, 35,000 currently. One thing I want to bring your attention to is that last slide. He said he got it for $7 million. You've had it for about 2 years now. Is that right, Kevin?
Yeah, about a year and a half.
Okay, and the current worth is 8.6 million. So in a year and a half, he's been able to take the value of this property from 7 to 8.6 million. So that's a great improvement for Kevin and his investors. Let's
Yeah.
look at some of the things that you did to improve this property.
Great. Yeah. Well, starting in the kitchen. On the left is the before. Everything is pretty dated. A little bit of disrepair. And so we wanted to, obviously added new appliances, but we just chose to add, in addition to the appliance package, a stackable washer and dryer and a dishwasher. One of the first impressions I had of the property, like the week after we took it over, there was a taxi cab sitting in front of one of the buildings, and then the husband and wife came out with 2 laundry baskets filled to the brim to go get their laundry done. And so I said, I think we hit a good mark here in terms of adding the washer dryer. Makes a big difference in this community to the residents, and same with the dishwasher. So we took the property and added a couple of really nice amenities to the kitchen package. Same here. The stove was dated. The venting system was outdated. So we cleaned everything up, did the countertops and the flooring, and replaced hardware and cabinets in the new appliance package. Anyway, took something that was old, dysfunctional, and just went clean and functional with the new package. Okay, living room. As you can see, this was an older property. It was in disrepair. So the living room had a heating element on the wall in an AC unit. We replaced that with a PTAC unit that does both the heating and the cooling. It cleaned everything up, and it just is a much more efficient way to heat and cool that portion of the property. We did look at a central air conditioning kind of system, but that would have been cost prohibitive. So, with the advice of our mentors and the community, we figured just modernizing the PTAC unit would be the right solution for this property.
Yeah, it's definitely cleaned it up quite a bit. I mean, you got pretty fresh paint. The floors look like they're redone. It looks like a much cleaner, nicer place to be, for sure.
Yeah. Probably a more dramatic improvement was in the bedrooms. As you can see, there is no AC unit here, just the heating element. So we added a PTAC unit in all the bedrooms. There's 1s and 2s, and then of course cleaned everything up, but and made sure the ceiling fans were functional. But between the PTAC in the living room and the 2 bedrooms and the fan, the conditioning of the property is just way more comfortable, and we've gotten a lot of compliments from residents that they just sleep a lot better now that the room's properly conditioned. So that was a big win for the community for us as well. Okay, bathrooms were in terrible shape, but we went ahead and replaced the flooring, put in a pedestal sink, and make sure we had an efficient low-flow toilet, and refurbish the bath. Not a ton of work, but just enough to be consistent with what we were doing with the rest of the interiors.
There's a big difference there. I mean, just the flooring itself makes that room look much more modern. It's a far better product than whenever you took it over. So it's pretty good work.
Yeah, no, thank you. Okay, on the exterior, there's a lot of children in this community, so the playground gets used a ton. But you can see on the left, it's kind of right in the center of the property, and there was no real shade. And in Georgia, on a hot summer day, that can be a little stifling. So on the right, you can see we added a picnic pavilion and some picnic tables. And then on the right, we added a grill station. And so it was already a pretty popular amenity, but with these upgrades, now it just gets used all the time, and it's been a real popular addition for us.
So Kevin, we talked about this earlier. You and I did. The community that you got here, it was a community. It sounds like there was a lot of folks that lived there, that knew each other. It was a great community. What was your experience with whenever you started making these changes with the residents? Did they, when you started raising those rents to pay for some of the amenities or the the improvements that you have, did they start leaving, or what did you see?
Very few. Uh, what my experience has been with this property is a C minus property is okay. It's barely livable, but if you make it a C plus property, for the additional rents, you improve the quality of the product so much that we actually have a waiting list for the new units. And between the referrals and the transfers internally, we have this the big demand for all the new units. So the process we've adopted now takes us about 3 weeks to turn a unit, a week for a family to move into it, and then that frees up a unit for us to then do the next rehab cycle. So we've been real pleased. We've been able to keep a very good community kind of together, and everybody's growing together. We're getting better, getting the rents we need to justify the investments, and they're getting improved, much improved product, and it's worked out. It's worked out really well.
Yeah, and it sounds like if the residents are transferring to these newer units, the residents are happy. It's a best product, best price type of model, which is exactly what's been taught.
Yeah, no, they really respond to it. Okay, signage, again, old and dated. We just gave it just a much more presentable look, and so yeah, this is what we're told. Present yourself the way you want people to view you. A good sign is real important. So that was one of the first we fixed. And then here's probably our biggest investment that was somewhat questionable at the time. As you can see on the left, the parking lot was pretty bad disrepair. And we chose to not just put a paintbrush type finish to it, but really to truly repair it and replace it, because we were planning to hold it for a while. And so you can see on the left, the parking lot needed completely repaired. There was a lot of concrete damage, so we removed that and replaced it. And then if you look on the right, you can see the fruits of our labor. A nice, clean concrete sidewalks, and then when you drive into the property, you look at the property, it just looks much younger, much more vibrant, clean, and the reseal and restripe really took years of it off the property, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'll agree with that. That really makes the presentation of the property look nice. So what did you like about the property?
Well, location. What makes a location valuable? I believe a strong education system, a strong medical system, and a strong jobs base. If you produce a best price product in that environment, you're going to add a lot of value, because that market will support the nicer product.
Okay. So remember, we were talking a little bit about the numbers there. I'm going to tell you just a little bit here. I really want you to look at the trends, right? So if you look at year one, we're going to look at the income there. You're going to see some significant growth between year 1, 2, as he's starting to raise those rents and getting those units rehabbed and bringing them up more to market rent. Projection for year 3 is conservative, and also the operating expenses. So what we teach, as most of you guys know, and hopefully if you guys haven't been to the 2-day, you're going to go with Chris. He's going to teach you about best product, best price. We're not slumlords. We're always improving that property. We expect expenses to go up, and so whenever we're looking at how this property is going to be run, there's always a little bit of added expenses into the numbers there. And then really the main number, there's 2 numbers that I want you to really look at. NOI, which Chris is going to talk about how the property is valued. So you see a good increase in NOI. Obviously, has the income increases are exceeding the expense increases. And then also look at your cash flow there. So he's looking at year one with an 8% cash on cash distribution, which when done right, which we teach you, is going to be tax deferred. And then all the way up to 10% for year three. The next slide is really where that all comes together. Looking at the NOI growth, you can see where he purchased it versus where it's going to be projected for this year three, and this is an actual number for year two. So we're looking at about $120,000 increase in NOI. When you take that at a 5 cap, which Chris will teach you about that, but when it's valued, the property value is going to be about $10.5 million, okay? So if he was to sell this property in year three, the first thing he has to do is pay off his debt. And so he pays the bank back their $5.2 million. And then he's got to pay back all of the investors their original investment. So that's $3.1 million. He's distributed at that time about $330,000. And he has an equity capture of over $2.5 million in 3 years, which is about an 80% return over your initial investment after that 3-year mark. So I think that's a great performance there. Good job, Kevin.
Thank you. It's the LU model, and we're experiencing it, and you can see the results.
All right, tell us a little bit about how you did it.
Well, I just heard Dell talk. I got interested, took advantage of the education and the mentoring, and essentially just followed the LU map. As you had mentioned in your intro, I had no prior real estate experience, so everything that I've learned has been on the lifestyles timeline. And then, as lifestyles teaches you, you have to just surround yourself with good people. So get a good team of people supporting you. Take advantage of the coaching and the mentoring. Like I said, there was a lot of decisions I had to make at Whispering Oaks, but I didn't do any of them in a vacuum. Lifestyles community was very supportive and helped frame out a really good strategy, steps to get there. And then I like tonight's event, attend as many lifestyle events as you can, always learn something. The presentations earlier tonight, I learned a lot, as I always do. And my favorite, maybe I'm getting a little ahead of myself though, is if you can go as a lead investor, if you go on the Masters Tour at the Expo, you'll get to see some really well-run properties, get some one-on-one time with a consultant and a mentor, and just it's a fantastic day to learn a lot about managing apartments and investing in real estate. So that's my personal favorite, but they're all good, and I just encourage people to attend as many as possible, continue to learn. And then to the extent you're just getting started, the vendor list is extensive and it's national, so there's a lot of support along the way. So yeah, I just kept taking the next step towards my goal. But Lifestyles really was there to support me every step along the way.
And I'd say, I want to second that. Obviously, I'm going to make a lot of events, but you guys keep coming back to the case studies, keep coming to all the events. You're going to see guys like Kevin over and over again. It won't be Kevin. It'll be Joe next time and Bobby's the next time, but you're going to see these guys that follow the map, and they're able to produce these results. And so that's hopefully has given you some confidence to start taking that first step, start getting investing, start trying to change your financial future as well. Also, he did mention about the events. If you haven't registered for the Expo, Expo's awesome. I would highly recommend you guys coming to that. It's an amazing networking opportunity. So if you haven't, highly recommend it. So then, Kevin, tell us a little bit about how has Lifestyles and how has this journey changed your life?
Well, as I talked about initially, I was a 55-year-old guy with lousy prospects. 4 years later, I'm the most optimistic guy on the block. Really look forward to the future. I'm no longer worried about the finances like I was. And I just found it much better. Real estate investing is so much better than the 401k option. And then I got introduced, the icing on the cake, I would probably say, is this idea of a family legacy. And that's really turned into the goal going forward. It looks like I was able to solve my own financial goals, but now it just makes you want more, and it makes you want it for the people you care about. So really looking forward to the family legacy part. And then really, this is so much more fun than my corporate job. I'm really enjoying the process.
Excellent. Now tell us a little bit about your goals.
Let's see, additional properties, retire for corporate America. This could be the year. I'm really close. And so this could be the year. Long-term, the financial security looks to be, really feel very comfortable about it, where I used to be very worried about it. And then as far as the family legacy goes, you can see the family there. My daughter, Amy, helps full-time. Marion is now full-time. My other daughter is part-time, and we just hired my niece full-time to help us with some of the property management duties. So we're starting to see that family legacy grow, and that's probably the most exciting part, to see what we can do, not only impact our lives, but the lives of those we care about the most.
And then last, let's see who's on your team. Anybody you want to give a shout out to?
I could go for days. So, but I would say mentors like yourself really are the glue to get you going on your journey, and kind of keeping you grounded and focused along the way. I'm part of the national program out of Atlanta. So Nicole, Mark, JB, Curtis Haynes has been particularly helpful too. So, and then the consultants, Terry, Randa, Teresa, they know so much. They can quickly clear the noise and help you focus on the things you need to be successful on your properties. Leverage the vendors. You'll have to build a local team, at least here in Atlanta. It's no different here, but it's just like different people. And then our investor partners. We had 54 people that had confidence in the Whispering Oaks lifestyles model, and we couldn't do it without those investors, and they've received the same training, et cetera, so that they're willing to help you raise $3.1 million when you need to close a deal.
All right, Kevin, hey, thank you for giving back. We appreciate you coming and sharing your story and presenting from Georgia with us. And I guess right now, let's go ahead and open it up to any questions. I think we're going to go online first.
Okay, so let's see. We have quite a bit of questions, so I'm going to try to find a couple good ones. Okay, so Pat said, who would he credit with suggesting each of the rehab areas, the mentor, himself, passives? So the items that you decided to fix on this property, how did you choose what ones to rehab or what items to repair?
It really, I think that the most difficult one was the PTAC decision, because sometimes that's considered a limiting factor, and we wanted to improve the property as much as we could. But the choice to do the PTACs and do them in the bedrooms, I think, gave us a really good condition solution at a reasonable cost. The washer dryer and the dishwasher were probably good differentiators for us in that space, the C space. So I would say that was probably the desire. We wanted to maximize what we could do with that property, and still stay within the same affordable C-level band, if you will. And we're finding that in our comps, we have the nicest amenity package of anybody by far, and the nicest units by far. So we're able to get, no trouble attracting the kind of residents that we want. And so I think, but that's the best product, best price. So yeah, the mentors are helpful. Like I said, to decide between central air and PTACs, that was a good conversation. How do you get a washer and dryer into a relatively tight space and sacrifice? We sacrificed the pantry to get the washer dryers in there. And so it's just a lot of conversations with people who've done this before, and they help you ultimately it's your decision. It's great to be able to get so many options and opinions and help you pick the right strategy.
I'm just going to let everybody know that our camera died, and so they can't see either of you. Just throwing that out there. I've tried several times to revive it.
Lucky them.
Yeah, oh, goodness.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't hear anybody complaining.
And Kevin, I wanted to let you know, this isn't a question, but your passives are like really blowing up the chat. Like they're all there telling you you did a great job. So I just want to throw that out there. I did have one other question. Kent asked, do you have plans to refinance or to sell?
Great question, and that's a decision we'll put to the passives. I think in the PPM, and as Robert showed in the slides, it was really a 3-year plan. 2 years to get the NOI up, so we'd either maximize the sale or be able to support a larger debt figure. I think we were all kind of leaning towards a refinance because we can stay in the deal, pull a lot of money out. It's to get the snowball going for the investors, but then still stay in a pretty good deal because Marietta hasn't gotten less popular, and we can run it real efficient. Once we've replaced everything, the repair and maintenance, et cetera, we've got the driveway situation stabilized, or for the long haul. So this one should be a good earner for quite a while if we choose to refinance. But that'll be something we'll put in front of the investors probably after the rehab's done, and we're now cranking out that NOI at the post renovation levels.
Okay, I'm going to actually open it up here for folks in the audience. Does anybody have a question? Again, please let me bring you the mic, though. Okay.
I'll get it. They can't see me anyway.
Hi, my name is Susan. For those of us that are interested in starting to be a passive investor, can you walk us through a little bit about what happens to those individuals that have invested the $25,000 or the $50,000? What is the time frame like before they start seeing a return?
Okay, this is important. Your training is important. Everybody has different risk appetite or goals. The profile that we were trying to appeal to was we're doing the renovations as the units turn. So it usually takes about 2 years. So the bad part is it takes 2 years. The good part is, though, you're only renovating as units turn, so you only have a down unit for like 30 days. And so you're able to pay a distribution. So on this property, we've been paying about a 6% distribution during the build-up phase, and we're hoping to be able, as Robert showed you, to pull out enough money to give everybody back about 80% of their investment in the 3rd year. So we're kind of in the middle in terms of it's a hybrid strategy, so that people can earn as they go, but have a cash event in about a 3-year window to help them, create that snowball effect of, pulling money out here, investing it. Now you have 2 earning assets, and then in 3 years you'll go to 4, et cetera. So it's a little bit slower for some people, and it's a little, it's not as rich as a true yield play. So, but that's once you get the training and you set your own goals with your investor, there's all kinds of profiles of investments to invest in out there. This is, like I said, this is probably a good example of a hybrid.
And so just like Kevin was saying, like Chris is going to teach in the 2-day, we've got different ways or different types of investments, right? So we have some that are yield plays that start kicking out cash, Q1, Q2. Some of them, like Kevin was saying, that he was projecting 2 years before he got his first distribution, was able to exceed that. Kind of a hybrid deal. And then a value play, maybe something where you don't get anything for a couple years, but you know going in what you're getting into. And so it's up to the individual what their investment criteria is. So you get to be able to match that up with what you're going to be investing in. And if it meets that criteria, you know, then if the project is underwritten correctly and performs correctly, it should be able to meet that. Now, so your question is, how fast is it? It's hard to say because it depends on which kind of property that you're actually getting into. Looks like you did great, Kevin. Thank you, sir. Appreciate you giving back.
Hey, Kevin, before we
All
cut
right,
you
Robert.
off, Kevin,
hold on.
just one more question. For the new people in the room, what would you tell them about joining?
Well, all I can say is I think it's, one, it's great you're here now because you're already kind of taking that step. My advice is you trust your judgment, and if you like what you hear, keep taking that next step. I started out at the 2-day thinking I was going to be single family. I left the weekend thinking I was going to be multifamily passive. 2 years later, I was doing then another year later, I was thinking legacy. So my point is, who knows what the future holds? But if you keep taking that next step, you're going to be in a way better position than you were today.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much. Like Robert said, I appreciate you coming on and giving back.